Who's gonna hop on tonight? Hello, hello, hello. Oh, my hair's dirty. Hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello. Hello, hello. Anybody gonna talk to me tonight? Hello. Just gonna wait for somebody to hop on and talk to me. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello, hello. Anybody? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Nobody wants to talk to me tonight. Hello. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello? Anybody? Nobody wants to talk? Come on, don't be shy. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Anyone? Nobody? Hello? If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. Tell me who you are, where you're from. Hello? Boy, we got a shy bunch tonight. Huh? Sherry, thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. Now it gets to moving. That's what it does. It's always slow. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. All the likes. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. I'm stunning. Oh, well, thank you. And are you Hector? And where are you from? Thank you for the badge, Hector. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. Just gonna let a few more people hop on and then I'll get started. Thank you for all the badges and the likes though so far, guys. It's awesome. Sherry from Oregon. What part of Oregon, Sherry? I love Oregon. Buffalo, New York. Is it Tony? Welcome. Thank you for the badge. All the likes. I love Oregon. Eugene, been there a couple times. Pittsburgh, welcome. Pittsburgh, do you have a name? Yes, thanks. You're welcome. Thank you for the badge, Tony. I appreciate that. Where are you from, Tony? Did you tell me that? Maybe you did. Sorry. New York. You told me that. Buffalo, New York. Sorry. I thought you did. Is he happy with you? I don't know who. Yes, Buffalo. Okay. Single granny. Okay. Linda from Tennessee. Welcome. Is it Raina from Sarasota? Welcome. Papa, thank you for the badge. Do you have a name and where you're from? If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. My name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. Sherry from Missouri. Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, keep tapping that screen, guys. It really does help me out a lot. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to see if my numbers are going to go up just a little bit here, guys, and then I'll get started. Let's see. Moxie, thank you for the follow. Tony, thank you for the badge. Moxie girl, do you have a name and where you're from? Just a little bit. Am I Native American? No, I'm not, actually. Do I look Native American? Taterbug, do you have a name and where you're from? Thank you for the badge. Moxie girl is Rena. Okay. Gotcha. Did I miss that? I apologize. Guys, by this time of night, Rhode Island, Pat, I get a little spacey. Little? Thank you for the badge and all the likes, guys. Okay, it looks like we're just going to kind of plateau here. So whenever I say that, then the numbers go up. So I'm just going to get started. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. I started my TikTok a year ago in March. The reason I started thank you for the follow, Pat. I appreciate that. Well, actually, this is my TikTok and I don't have to hush, but you can either hop off and keep scrolling or I'll just block you, or you can go back to your mama's basement. You decide. Actually, no, I've never said that. No, I don't want to do that. There we go. All right. And quiz no whatever is now blocked. Bill Hodge, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. So as I was saying, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. If you're new here, I started my TikTok a year ago in March. The reason I started my TikTok is on September 14th of 2023. My husband, for TikTok purposes, unalived himself. And that's when I discovered that I have abilities to talk to my guides, and they slowly breadcrumb me to my purpose, which led me here to all of you beautiful people. I discovered that my purpose in life, thank you for the follow. Decaf, do you have a name and where you're from? I discovered my purpose is to help others with their loss and trauma, and basically just uplift people and motivate people. And so that's why I'm here. Janie, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you for the likes, Linda. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. I only have 2 rules here. One, I just ask that y'all be kind. And you'll get blocked if you aren't kind, like that guy, if you choose not to get off and scroll. Sherry, thank you for the follow. Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that so much. Janie, thank you for the likes. So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you missed it, like I said, my name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. And my other rule is we actually don't talk politics here of any kind. It's not against one side or the other. It's just not appropriate here. That's not what my page is about. There's a million other pages out there to talk about politics. So Vancouver, Washington, welcome. I love Vancouver, Washington. I love Washington and Oregon. My husband and I always said it's the best of both worlds. You get the ocean and the mountains at the same time. And so we actually had plans to move before my husband decided of 32 years to check out. Lake City, Arkansas. Welcome, Bill. Thank you for that. Let's see. From Crescent City, California. Nice to meet you. Been in Crescent City, Taterbug. My husband and I actually spent 2 months on the coast up in Gold Beach, Oregon. And so we visited Crescent City several times while we were there in beginning of 22. Thank you for the badge. Thank you for that, Janie. I appreciate that so very much. Thanks for the likes, Linda. And I always like to say, when you hop on, I am where I am on my journey of life and you are where you are, and none of us are going to agree on everything. And so you might hear something here that you disagree with, and I just ask that we just agree to disagree. And if you can't do that, I just ask you hop off and keep scrolling. That's it. It is beautiful. We loved it there, and the weather is so much better than it is here in South Dakota, and I have fibromyalgia, and so that's where we were going to kind of hope to land. And then my husband decided to check out after 32 years and changed his plans and mine. So here I am. Anyway, when I go live, my guides usually give me a topic. And so tonight's topic is finding balance in your life. And so that's what we're going to talk about. We also talk about trauma and healing and loss and those kind of things. Basically, if you're not familiar with my story, hi Lori, how are you tonight? I missed you. Basically, like I said, my husband, we were together for 32 years when my husband decided to check out, and my whole world of 32 years imploded. And so I'm basically starting over. And so I also had to learn how to find balance, and I also had to learn how to live without him. I had never lived my life without him since I was 16 years old. And so this is a place where if you lose somebody and you're just not sure how to put one foot in front of the other, then you're in the right place. Because I had to learn how to do that. Doing okay. How are you? I am well, thank you. Just really tired. I work a lot, so by the time I get to my lives at night, I'm exhausted. But this is important to me and important to my guides, and so here I am. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. So tonight we're going to talk about finding balance. Just know that we're not shy here. My page is your page. You're welcome to interrupt me at any time, as long as you're being kind and respectful, that is. And yeah, just know that if you talk to me, I'm going to ask you questions. You never have to answer, of course, but that's kind of what my page depends on, is you talking to me and I talk back. So first, I'm just going to read what my guides give me. So, finding balance. The importance of having balance in all aspects of your life. What does that look like? And so, basically, what does it look like? Finding balance in our relationships, our career, and our personal growth, right? And also, I put in there a little later, spiritual growth, right? Because personal growth and spiritual growth isn't always the same thing. Thank you for the follow, Tony. I appreciate that so much. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. And so aligning your personal and professional pursuits with your values is also an important thing to balance, right? And so working towards creating a more balanced and harmonious existence, right? Doesn't life just flow better when everything's balanced, right? When our relationships are going good, and our career or our work or whatever that is, and our personal and our spiritual growth is all aligned, life just tends to flow, right? And so that's my goal in life, to just flow. And sometimes, our balance gets off, right? And sometimes the scales tip towards more, we work too much, or, and so those are the kind of things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what are some things that we can do to find more balance and to balance those things out. So if you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. So far, does anybody have anything that would like to add? Hopefully all your comments come through. Sometimes they like to censor my comments, even though I have no filters on. They don't filter the trolls, obviously, like first thing. Anybody? Okay, well, I'm just going to keep going. Like I said, just chime in anytime. My page is your page. You're welcome to comment, or if you have something you need to get off your chest. If you're lonely, this is a great page for you. We like to make friends here. So, okay. So examples of an unbalanced life, right? Working too much. Spending maybe too much time with your friends and not enough time with your person or your spouse. Worrying too much about certain things and not prioritizing other things like self-care, your spiritual journey, neglecting your emotional life, right? Sometimes we need to get our emotions in check. And sorry, it looked like I had a hair. Anyway, not relevant, and stressing about everything and anything sometimes, right? And so how do we put all of those things into check, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. Nobody wants to talk to me tonight? Sorry, I was just looking out my window. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Boy, you guys are a tough crowd tonight. Nobody wants to talk to me? Anybody? Nobody's got anything to say? Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. All right, well, I'm just going to keep going then. My guy gave me 2 pages tonight, so I have plenty to talk about, even if nobody wants to talk to me. So working too much. What are some ways that we can put balance in our life if we find we're working too much, right? Setting a schedule that allows for time for joy, relationships, self-care, emotional well-being, and maybe our spiritual well-being, right? So maybe cutting back on work. And I know that's tough for a lot of us right now. For me especially, I work 2 jobs, if you count my social media, which is a lot of work some days. And I sew on the side. I technically work 4 jobs. And sometimes, you know, for me, finding balance right now since my husband passed has been a struggle, right? But maybe there's things that we can do so, you know, maybe we cut back on, we don't eat out as much because I want to be able to cut back on work. And so maybe I can't afford to eat out as much. But maybe that's balancing out the home life a little better, right? Because we cut back on the maybe not working so many hours. Maybe you don't get to eat out, or, you know, whatever it may be, right? I never eat out. It's hardly, very rarely. So too much time with friends and maybe not, or maybe not even friends, but just, you know, I don't know, going to the bar or just finding other things to do and not spending that time with your spouse or your person. You know, my husband was very guilty of both of these things, right? My husband was a workaholic, and we didn't spend a lot of time together because he worked all the time. He enjoyed what he did most of the time, and so he just did it a lot, and unfortunately at the sacrifice of our relationship. And a lot of times when he was around, you know, if somebody called and said, hey, can you come help me lay my flooring, or can you come do this? You know, everybody else ranked above me, right? And so sometimes we have to put our person or our spouse, you know, above other things, right? So making time for maybe both, maybe making time for friends, helping friends out, but yet still having time. You know, I think it's really, really important if you're in a relationship, especially, you know, back in the day before my husband became a workaholic, we did date night, right? Maybe once a week, we went out to eat, or whatever it may be, went and had a picnic, whatever, went on a hike, just did something together and spent quality time as a couple, right? Too much time worrying about everybody but you. Nobody wants to talk to me tonight, or are they just not letting my comments come through? I hate that. Sometimes that's what happens, is they filter out my comments. And I have no way to know unless nobody wants to talk to me. Very quiet crowd tonight. Wow. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. Hold on. Oh, I don't co-host. Not at the moment anyway. So worrying about everybody but you. Sometimes we worry too much about our kids or our friends or doing things for other people, and we forget about ourselves, right? And I talk about this a lot on my page about self-care and spending time with yourself and how important that is, because if you don't fill up your cup first, you can't give from an empty cup. You can, but it makes life miserable. Paula from Missouri, welcome. Well, at least something's coming through. Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And so how very important it is to give yourself self-care and to maybe not focus on everybody else. Because sometimes if you don't have self-care, like we talked about this, I think it was last night or the night before, is if your cup is empty, right? how much better of a mother and a wife I could have been had I learned to fill up my cup first instead of always trying to give with an empty cup, right? I probably would have been a better wife and a better mother, right? I'm not saying it was horrible, but I think I probably could have done a better job. I maybe wouldn't have been as a cranky of a mom and a cranky wife if, I filled up my own cup first. It's kind of hard to dole out of an empty cup. So yeah, let's see. And then moving on to no time for spiritual growth. Whether that be if you're I'm more of a spiritual person. I used to do the whole church thing. I'm not into that anymore. I still believe in a creator, or you would call God or the divine. I'm more of a spiritual person. I have more of what I would call a personal relationship with the divine or source. I craved that. I spent 20 some years in the church and craved that personal relationship and never could find that personal relationship there until I stepped out of the church, actually. Nothing against church, and anything I say, like I said, this is my page and my opinion. You have every right to your opinion. I would never tell you what to believe or what not to believe. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. If you're not familiar, my name is Renee and I'm from South Dakota. Welcome. So it's really important to have that, maybe you pray, or for me, I meditate. I talk to my guides. I talk to people who have crossed over, because if you're not aware, I'm also a medium. And so how important it is to have that growth. Cindy from Pennsylvania, welcome. I worked as much as possible. I felt I needed to. Made it easier to pay the bills. And I get that. Like I said, I totally understand that now, Tony, because I work 2 jobs outside of my apartment, and then I do my social media, which is a part-time job, and then I sew part-time. I make orders and things, and so I get that right now. Since my husband left, he didn't leave me in a great spot financially, and sometimes you got to do what you have to do, right? But also try to find a balance, right? That's all we can do. It was a big burden to me. And I get that. My husband leaving was a huge burden to me. So I can totally relate, right? For the first time, don't get me wrong. I worked, right? And I took care of the house and I took care of the kids and I did all of that, right? My husband lived in a semi. He was a local truck driver, but I still did everything. And so, don't get me wrong. It's not like I didn't work, but I never had to take care of myself before, right? And so the first time in my life, I'm 50 years old, I had to take care of myself. And and I'm proud to say that I've been doing it for the last 1.5 years. So I have had some help here and there, but I do take care of myself. I finally stopped working my second job. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. I hope everything's working out for you, that you can quit your second job. I hope to do that soon myself. But, I would like to not feel like I'm drowning, right? I'm sure you know that feeling. And I also one of those people, I'm very independent and I want to be able to take care of myself, and I don't want to have to ask my kids for help, So I totally relate. DK, do you have a name and where you're from? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. And so finding that balance, right? Maybe on your lunch hour between jobs, right? So this is how I did it for a while. So I worked 2 jobs, this before I started my other seasonal job back up, but I was still working several jobs. And so I had like 2 hours in between. And so that's when I would find time for me time, right? I would go to the gym, right? And I would work out for a while. I would tan, do whatever I wanted to do, right? And that was finding time for me. And also, working out for me helps clear my head. And so that would also be time where, whether I was in the tanning bed or on the treadmill, I could be working on my spiritual side, right? Having conversations with my spirit team and with the divine. And so there's ways of, even though maybe you are working 2 jobs, are ways around still finding that balance for other things, right? It's just about what is your priority, right? Making things a priority And there's my cat right on schedule. Every time I go live, he does this lovely cat call at night. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are, where you're from. And so there are ways around that. Also, asking your spirit team, whether it be your angels, your guides, the divine, inviting them in to help you. That is very important. One thing that I've discovered since I've been talking to my guides, being able to communicate in that aspect is, we have free will. The divine, God, source, what universe, whatever it is you call it, give us free will. And so there are times where give us free will. And so there are times where... Are you there? Sorry, I don't know what happened. Something just popped up on my screen. Probably them talking to me. They like to do stuff like that. But we do have free will. And so we do have to ask them to come in because, because of us having free will, they can't, just willy-nilly step in and kind of take over for us. But you can ask them in the morning. You can say, hey, look, I need your help today. It would be nice if you walk with me today, guide me and show me the way and, whatever it may be, help take that stress from me, whatever it is. Right. And having faith. And that's a big thing for people, is having faith that it's all going to work out. And, taking that step to turn it over to the divine, God, source, whatever it is you believe, and not taking it back, which I still struggle with sometimes. But that's an important thing too. So, does anybody have anything to say? Nobody has said anything but their name, really. If you're just hopping on, tell me who you are and where you're from. If you're just hopping on, we're talking about finding balance in your life tonight. My name is Renee. I'm from South Dakota. I would have to say this is the quietest 30 minutes I have had probably in all my lives. Nobody wants to talk, or either that or nobody's comments are coming through. I haven't figured out which, because they do like to filter stuff every now and again. Okay, well, since nobody wants to talk to me or can talk to me, I don't know which. Lastly, stay positive and hopeful, right? And have faith, like I just said. And since nobody's going to talk to me or I can't see your comments, I'm going to keep going. My guides always tell me I have to do my little plug here or I get in trouble. So if you're not familiar, I do have a YouTube channel also. All my videos that you see here are uploaded to my YouTube over there. The only difference is that if you miss a live and you'd like to catch that, I do upload those usually the next day. Last night was the exception to the rule. Before I went to bed, I did get my live uploaded from last night over there. I go live Sunday through Wednesday between 7 and 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Usually I try to keep it before a little after 7. Sometimes I'm a little late, depending on what's going on with my life. What are we doing? Well, we were talking about finding balance in your life. What is your name and where you're from? Thank you for the badge. I appreciate that. So my YouTube channel is called Scorpio Medium. I guess I should tell you that, huh? By this time of night, guys, I'm tired. I apologize. My day usually starts at 4:30 or 5. So this is the only time I have to fit it in. So tired or not, here I am. So, like I said, if you would subscribe, that would be amazing. I would really love it if you subscribed. Like I said, it's called Scorpio Medium. And if you miss a live and you'd like to catch it, I upload those over there. If you go to my bio here or my bio over there, you'll find my email address. And that's where, if you would like to book a channeling session with a crossed over loved one, you can do that there. Those are Scorpio Medium 74 at Gmail and Scorpio Medium 74 at yahoo.com. And I think I pretty much covered everything. Anybody else got anything they would like to say? Anybody? Nobody? I'd have to say this is a record night for quiet. We're never shy here, by the way, so you never have to be shy. It's okay to talk, I promise. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. Those that stayed around, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all the badges, the hearts, the love that you showed. I do appreciate it. I hope to see you all again, even though you're a very, very quiet crowd. I did appreciate you staying. On that note, I'm just going to say I hope y'all have a great night and make tomorrow great because it is a choice. And I'm going to say until we meet again.